came here for. followed me on Twitter, by the way.
Huh?
So Happy Diss Me followed me on Twitter.
Me.
Yeah, Meta Athena support player, my dude. He's also a fucking good-looking dude. Holy shit. That boy is chiseled. His face, oh my god. Good-looking chappy. Oh, that's a pretty good photo.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I can't hear you, mate, by the way. I can't hear you. I think I can very faintly hear you.
Hello, hello, hello,
Hello?
hello. Oh my god, that's it. It's kind of an... Oh, hello. I can hear myself now. I can't hear me. I can hear you. I can... Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me clearly? Oh, no, I can hear myself. That's better.
Hello.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
No. Turn that shit on and then
better idea.
on-hand strike. Beautiful. Through universe. Trying to adjust the volume under this. I promise you he's not doing anything else. Hello everybody and welcome to NUEL Live right here at the Red Bull Gaming Sphere. My name is George, joined by the wonderful Desert Chew. We'll be guiding you through the game today. It's going to be Underwatch versus IC9. We've got a very special guest as well with us today, Des.
The boys Reek.
The boys Reek. Yeah, he's kind of an interesting face he's got going on. I mean, he looks a bit sad like the day I clapped him in solo queue the other day, but we'll have to wait and see if he's going to either be dumpstered or IC9, or Underwatch will actually take the series. It's going to be a best of 5, and to round that all out, it's going to be held right here live. NUEL Live as well, kind of a special momentous occasion, Des. Only happens once a year. It's something that you actually want to tune into. And do you know why you want to tune into this and actually come down live to as well? We've got an ECS premium ticket to give away too. All you need to do is come down to NUEL Live, stand in front of the beautiful giant Red Bull Gaming Sphere logo, take a photo of it, tag and follow the NUEL, and you get to enter for the chance to win.
NUEL exclusive, baby. That's what it's all about with those tickets. And as mentioned, this is NUEL Live. Just to give you an idea of you guys, if you're here new today, you haven't seen it before, or if you're watching at home, this is a league that we run over the space of several weeks, and it all culminates here at the end of the season at NUEL Live. And as George rightly mentioned, it's Underwatch and IC9 coming together for what we should call a battle of wits, a battle of skill, a battle of pride almost here. We have a lot of varsity competitions across the UK. When it comes down to this, it's no longer about local rivalries. It's about a national rivalry.
It comes down to pride. It's the pride of the universities. Exactly. That's exactly what it's all about. And then we're playing on some wonderful bits of kit as well. Sponsored by, obviously, Republic of Gamers, providing them with mice, keyboards, and the PCs, and obviously the monitors as well to boot. I've been playing the monitors over the last couple of days. There's 240 hertz.
Because you're this guy who's the big proponent of 144, and now you're like, 240?
My eyes have been opened
Once
to
again.
240 hertz, so it looks like I'm going to be ordering one of the monitors.
I've only just got over my upgrade from 60 to 144, so
Yeah.
let's take it slow, right? No rush.
I did tell some of the players when we came in, actually, they were like fiddling around with the settings and whatnot, and they're like on 60 hertz. I'm like, you do realise these go up to 240, right? And they were like,
What?
That exists? I'm like, yes,
Grand
absolutely.
revelation.
It was just disturbingly good. But yes, we're going to get into the first game rather shortly. I say first game, it's going to be first map. Best of 5 is going to be the format. The map pool today we are looking at is Junkertown, Voskaya, Elios, Eichenwald, and then rounding up on Dorado.
Pretty standard for the most part.
For the most part.
You look at the start in Junkertown, like we said a lot in contenders and stuff, we've always been like, well, Junkertown's still the one that some teams are starting to find out about. We see double sniper a lot. We see the single healer with things like the ball and chain composition. It's one of the more creative maps that you could say that we've seen so far, and expect no different today here.
Creative maps to fit creative teams, Des.
Very much so.
IC9 specifically, 2 Korean imports coming in. Rather hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Imports, yeah.
Both on support.
Both on support.
Both of those tests are on the teams.
Korean imports.
Korean
Doesn't matter.
imports, baby. That's
They've
what
been training
counts.
Korean solo queue. It doesn't matter what SR they are. Silver Husky and Cosmos are going to be those 2 Korean imports. They did joke around earlier on. They were like, hey, we got 2 more Koreans than Underwatch do. So technically, we actually win the game. But I mean, Overwatch League teams haven't had too much success, regardless of how many Koreans you actually import onto the roster. So we'll see how that actually does affect the results today.
Yeah, it's always a nice thing having a bit of a mix-up, and I suppose with these guys that you see, those 2 guys sit on the support, and of course you can't forget about the rest of the team, Zelko, TSG, Lude, which is a fantastic name, and then Ronin as well. Now, for these guys, they've got one guy who's sat around the 4K margin.
Yeah, he's looking pretty high and spicy.
So they've got some good players on there, and then you look at the other side, and there's 3 guys over 4K. Now let's have a quick talk about Underwatch. This is the team that everyone knows, the villains coming into this final. Yeah. They seem to be streamed nearly every single week because they are consistently at the top of the table, so it's very much so an underdog story today.
Not only that, being streamed as well isn't going to help you more often than not, because IC9 can sit there and be like, okay, cool, we're just going to look over your games. We can look at what kind of strategy you're running on the specific maps and kind of pick around that. So we're going to see if that does come into effect. And IC9 have only been streamed once, so technically, Underwatch have only got one game to really go off. They haven't actually scrimmed each other just yet, so it's going to be a big surprise from both of these meeting each other for the first time.
Very much so, but I think that's also kind of fun, because if it was a matchup that we'd seen multiple times over throughout the season, you'd be saying, okay, last 3 times Underwatch has won, we kind of expect today to go the same. Best part is you come in today, like, we have no idea what's going to happen out of this one. You can look at the SRs of the players and go, maybe you say it's going towards the team with the 3-4K players, but you see upsets every single day in solo queue, in competitive play. You just don't know what's going to come from it.
It's two very different things, but one key factor I want to point out on Underwatch, actually 3 of the players right now, Zed7K, JK as well, and G-Moon, both trying their way to push through Open Division, obviously through to contenders as well. So these guys, kind of prominent players, both in that scene and the NUEL scene as well. So we're going to see some big things out of that trio. I think their leadership and their ability to play at a little bit more of a higher level, because they do scrim against other Open Division teams and whatnot as well around the scene. So they're going to be rather versed into facing opponents that they don't necessarily know a whole lot about.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we always love plugging it here at the NUEL. It's kind of almost our job. Boombox played the NUEL a long time ago. Now, of course, he's playing for the Fusion.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not, for example, that players that play in this aren't strictly great, because there are a lot of great players. We've already spoke about those guys who are all sitting over 4K today, the ones to watch almost. And in fact, you mentioned this one guy, the Diva player, who was sat about 3.7, but you say he's a really good guy.
Yeah, a really good dude. Yeah, Lude's
an
A1 dude. Yeah, he's been pretty hot and sort of. I think I've met him a couple of times. Like I was looking at his obviously stats on his career profile and whatnot. Pretty prominent Diva player, pretty high win rates. So I'm kind of excited to see him actually play, because in the NUEL specifically, you don't really have to have that much of a big hero pool. You can stick to one of these 1 or 2 heroes and just be more of a specialist for your team. It's just all about your team kind of adapting and playing around that factor. Unfortunately, we aren't playing with skins today. It's kind of standard rule set. We're not playing with any funky skins. It's kind of unfortunate, because IC9 was saying, like, we really want to run like the all London skins, and we were hoping Underwatch would kind of do the opposite and run, you know, someone like XL, NYXL.
And be the real bad guys.
Yeah, be the real villains, right? And London XL, NYXL, sorry, against London. That would be kind of a cool little matchup, but no skins.
It'd be the dream. Sadly not to be, but
unlucky.
You mentioned that word there, villain, right? Underwatch have kind of described themselves as this villain, constantly at the top, always the team people look to be the big winners in this competition. And as I said, this is the opportunity for IC9 to show that they aren't impervious at the top, that they can't be defeated, that there are teams that can bring them down. So for those guys, again, all that study time they've had looking at VODs and stuff, if they've done their preparation right, it's perfectly possible they could take games away. And what better amount to do it than on Junkertown? That's going to be our starting point. Double sniper is a thing. Yeah. And I know that for one of these teams, they're not huge on playing things like the Genji, but they do really like their Widow play.
Yeah, well, Widow, it's got to be Widow versus Widow. I want to see
More
it
of the Widows, our fabled little favourite, right?
Z7K
can we just appreciate that we can have Red Bull on the desk as well, because we're in the Red Bull arena. Cheers.
Honestly, it's the amount of times I'm like, oh yeah, you have to take Red Bull off screen. I'm like, okay, well, you know, but this time I can actually.
God bless being at the Red Bull gaming sphere, right?
Kind of helps. I'm not going to lie to you. Just that kick of energy to really help through the cast. Not trying to plug them too much, but jeez. Yeah. It's like I have a little Red Bull. Okay, are you turning the can around now?
You should. Like, yeah, I don't really want to read the back of it where it's on about like all the details. I care about the bounce being pretty low on the front.
No, the camera cares about that stuff. Yeah. Do you know what? I haven't actually tried the tropical one.
I haven't tried it yet as well. No, I'm going to try it later.
We sound like incredible shills, but regardless, it's actually
we don't have to shill this. We're just choosing to talk about Red Bull now because it's in front of us, right?
It's actually pretty good. Not only that, I need to spy out the ROG guys, because these big mouse mats.
You want one?
I really do. Like, honestly, I've been playing on a little mouse mat for the longest time.
Mouse mats are getting more and more ridiculous in size as we go.
Feeling the whole desk is so much nicer. I was playing the other day, and it just feels so much nicer having just something under your palms rather than just your cold desk. It does a lot. We are going into game very, very shortly, guys. They're just getting ready up in the lobby, and we should be underway. Apologies for obviously all the delays. We were supposed to start a little bit earlier on, but we're here now, and that's all that matters.
Probably worth mentioning as well now I think about it, coming into this, like we've seen a lot of changes, sort of the kind of European meta as it might be, and I think it's very much so you'll see a lot of trickle-down meta, right? Guys at the top will be scrimming against the guys below them, who then pass that on to those below them, and before you know it, everyone's playing it. And looking at today, Sombra has come into the meta quite a lot. We've been seeing it quite a bit across Europe. One of these teams, like we said, doesn't play Genji, but they opt a lot towards the Tracer and the Sombra comps, which we are seeing almost exclusively nowadays, it feels like, at the high levels of competition.
Yeah, Sombra Widow specifically, it's just so hard to actually touch the Widow when you've got to deal with the Sombra as well, and your backline hacking your support, it's just hacking your tanks as well. We are jumping into the first map, guys. It will be Junkertown to start us off with. Does look like we are seeing on the blue side on the defense. First up, we are Underwatch and IC9 over on the red. They will be on the offense.
Excellent. So, very keen to know the kind of stuff they're going to be picking up, if they'll be changing things around. Now, we'd never speak about hovers. Symmetra players love winding us up with that kind of stuff. But we spoke a bit about the ball and chain comp, about the double sniper coming through, all that kind of stuff. At the minute, it's looking towards, on the side at least of Underwatch, they're going to try and go for that with the double healer though, so no single healer craziness coming through just yet.
Okay, so I did get a little tip-off about JK Lol on this Roadhog. Apparently he's quite a proficient Roadhog player. The guy mainly plays tank up in solo queue, but will flex to the DPS in the team to actually fit the needs.
Do you remember the game used to crash when you beat the hell out of this motorbike?
Oh, it used to crash the server,
yeah. The maze, stand there and just be like, don't like this map, crash it.
Jumped into solo queue once, and it happened twice in a row. Got Junkertown twice in a row, and I had the same guy in with me, and he was like, I was like, why is it crashing? That's twice now. The server's like dead or something. He was like, no, if you're Mei on defense, you just freeze the bike and it just crashes the entire server. They patched that in 2 days, I think. Quite a quick turnaround, but that was a very, very confusing time. It doesn't like actually on the defense here. Like I mentioned before, Underwatch are on the defense, and it's more of an Orisa triple tank composition coming in with JK Low actually on the Roadhog, holding it quite low and far up. Not something we normally see, like we mentioned before. The fact that we are seeing a lot more prominent double sniper on Junkertown on offense is something that TSG kind of running with here is actually on the Widowmaker, but it does look like Lude switching over to the Torbjorn, going out and just a full switch
by the looks of it. Actually, everyone kind of jumped back for a second.
Completely
baited. They're going to change everything around, but like I say, a bit of a bait. They're actually switching over to go. Yeah, bit of a reset then.
Okay, maybe there's a small DC.
Maybe small DC. Happens. It would not be the NUEL, it would not be a stream if there was not a DC or some kind of pause or some kind of remake. It's always the way.
It's what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We saw the intent, I think, there, which was important out of Underwatch. We saw the kind of things they were opting towards, going for, you'd argue, a pretty standard kind of full hold setup, going for the Orisa and the Roadhog. Like, again, double sniper. We've seen things as crazy as quadruple DPS going on in the EU contenders so far. So it's very open in terms of what players can bring to the field. But this is definitely the more sort of standard thing, a Widowmaker with the Orisa and the Roadhog playing just behind that.
Yeah, they're holding on the lower ground as well, which is something we normally see, especially with the Hog. When you're on high, it's a little bit harder to land the sinker hooks into the one shot, because the person is obviously dropping as soon as the hook does unleash, and you can actually use the left click. So it's a little bit more effective on the low ground. Also, it actually protects you more often than not from a right side flank, unless there's some elevation like a Genji that can hop over the fence. But if they did their research, like we were mentioning before, there isn't a prominent Genji player, any prominent flankers coming through on the side of IC9. We are jumping back into game. I think it was a small DC. I'm not entirely sure what's happening. Same time around, IC9 are going to be the offense, and the defense will be Underwatch.
Absolutely. More of the same probably expected to come out, to be honest. Nothing big going to change, I don't think. Unless maybe on the side of IC9 you just think, well, we saw very briefly what they were looking to try and bring, so let's try and just go for it and see what happens. But hey, 20 seconds and you'll have faces disappear and the map will appear before your very eyes.
I was going to say, I just realised we're just both looking at the screen, just like ignoring you completely, but we're going to go anyway, so
we'll like stare at screens.
We'll see in a minute. We've got 2 screens to look at. Yeah, we got a job to do.
Both screens showing exactly the same thing as well, so we can be like, yeah, let's both watch this one. Let's watch that one instead.
It's just easier to look to the right-hand side. I don't know what it is. Maybe
there you go. Yeah, we're in now anyway.
Yeah, pre-game. Here we go. We're just going to roll out. It does. Yeah, like you mentioned before, it's probably going to be more often than not the same compositions rolling out of the gate. Now, I want to see what they're going to run in terms of the second point hold, because more often than not, the first point, especially if you get it rolling, the spawn is so far away from you on the defense. It's going to be a fairly easy push if you do win the first fight. It's up to a Lucio or someone that can actually touch the cart and survive to actually stop the push going through on the first point. 30 seconds as we count down, though. Again, like I mentioned, Underwatch are running the same sort of thing on defense.
Yeah, it's interesting on maps like this. Dorado is very much so the same. Things like the World Cup, we saw teams going for the same sort of style, where you basically go for a full hold and just try to attempt to hold the payload where it starts, because if you lose that first fight, you still have enough time to get back around to the cart, sit on the cart itself as it's pushing into the more, I suppose you might say, favourable open area to fight through, and especially when you've got double sniper or something like that coming through. But in this case, they're going to stick and hold here just around this first corner. Hope for the very best. Let's see how this attack works out, at least for IC9. Now, I imagine this is a pretty good map to get a good feel for both of these teams. You're going to get an idea of how they're both going to be playing today out and what the kind of differences are between the two of them.
TSG trying to get some cheeky shots on the shins of Durf on the Orisa, but that shield should just hold high and dry. Zico actually swapping over to the Junkrat instead. More often than not plays this hit scam roll, but does jump onto the Junkrat. Nice hook actually onto Lude. Is going to be able to pull that D.Va in, make sure there's a little bit of damage, but already IC9 pushing under this bridge. Because they haven't actually got the high ground here, Underwatch, they are going to be a little bit more vulnerable here, because there's a quite an easy flank route. However, with TSG getting this high ground, he should be able to dominate it. It's all going to be on the Widow on Widow to try and find the first pick. Oh, saying that, yeah, I was about to say, woo, okay.
It's as you say,
TSG's actually going to go now.
Yeah, absolutely. Those first crucial picks are so big because it denies so much vision for the Widow, who, well, gives so much vision to the Widow, who gets that an opening kill. The number of angles you can watch, and also look out for the returning spawn of the enemy Widow, unless of course a res comes through. Both sides are taking the Mercy, so that's available as an option.
It's pretty hard here actually right now for IC9 to actually push forward onto this cart, because what Underwatch have done, if they push their shield past the cart, meaning it's just consistently now moving backwards, it's going to be up to IC9 to actually get a touch in order to find order to stop that movement. Z7K trying to snipe someone out of spawn. It did look like TSG did actually go down fairly early on. It looked like he jumped off the map. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but Inversights will come out, spot everybody up, and it would just be up to Zelko now, just trying to lay a little poke damage down. They're probably just going to have to wait this Inversights out though.
It's always worth mentioning, of course, the Orisa shields as well are just so valuable when it comes to the Widows, because they can stand there in relative safety behind those shields and go for those pot shots. And of course, there is no risk then of the return snipe coming through. But like you mentioned, they've managed to hold this down ridiculously well. You need one really big push coming through from IC9 here to push them the whole way.
Well, there's the riptide from Zelko. Instantly takes out JK. Lol was using that whole hog as well, so that always potentially just wasted there. Z7K finally finds the kill onto TSG, but that whole hog from Silver Husky pushing forward, support player or not. His Korean imports jumped over to the hog. His hooks are pretty stellar. Derv's actually having to force his way back in, and even using that supercharger there, just little to no effect, as they were all already dead.
Yes, it was a good full hold, but only about 2 minutes long before they started getting themselves wiped down.
Yeah, just like IC9 actually did use that supercharger, it does mean Derv still has hits available. G-Moon coming in, does have self-destruct, just going to launch it up in the air, just going to wait for that barrier to pop down first, but Paddy's going to fall, headshots coming through from TSG, Zarek is going to go down as well, probably just stick to the soldier there, my buddy. TSG finding Zarek's Z7K also. This is quite a bit of a stomping. TSG found himself without a head in the start of the early game, but right now, he's carrying the IC9 victory on the first push.
I was really concerned that Underwatch would end up surrendering that fight there once we saw them come back in full strength, because they managed to hold so consistently just outside in that choke point. But nope, coming back through, they saw the respawns coming through from Underwatch, very calm and composed about it, and Zelko given ultimate freedom. It was a bit of a panic almost coming from the other side, trying to force their way onto the point. And ultimately, if you ignore a Junkrat, well, guess what? He's going to blow you to shreds.
Yeah, TSG has almost got that Inversights as well, but Zelko, he's got that Riptide, he's ready. He's ready to unleash it. G-Moon to get hooked. A little bit of damage pop through, but they're just going to be able to pull back. Sharika's going to be able to just heal him up quite nicely. Here comes Zelko with the Riptide. Does find his way through here, and the Inversights will give him a lot of positional advantage, or a lot of situational advantage, straight onto Z7K, recognizing that as quite a high priority target right now. 2 ultimates popped, but Sharika actually does get the reds on Z7K, which means they're not going to be able to punish him for it. Does get taken out. TSG finally popping heads. This guy is really starting to come into his own.
Oh, almost managed to get the grab down onto the enemy Widow there as well. Not quite, though. Still this kind of standoff between the 2 shields from the Orisas. Neither side really gaining too much ground yet, but it is IC9 starting to secure a couple of kills. Finding their way on the way forward. The payload is still moving here, Jaws.
That it is. TSG just kind of solo carrying them right now. Dervs didn't stand an absolute chance in hell. Silver Husky easily being able to eliminate him with the whole hog. Hugo Golden. Here's enough gold plating in the world that's going to save you from a full metal scrap gun. IC9 now taking the second point. Underwatch. This next push is stagger the rest of the...
Heroes never die.
Z7K to go to the Tracer.
No one.
So basically a switch to himself at this moment. He just needs to have
60 seconds.
everybody, JK and that was the round all said and done.
Impressive final push coming through because for G-Moon, when he got that double kill onto the supports with his ultimate, so it wasn't the support, sorry, with the Tracer and the Winston, I thought that is the end of this attack now. IC9 lose here. What was really impressive though was they managed to stall out for so long while Jarika is planning these ultimates for active. Those portals blown because that was a win condition for Underwatch in that final fight. Once they were exposed, well, it's a great pushing opportunity coming through for IC9 and TSG popping off big towards the end. Lou keeping them in there by making sure he was on the point to enable his team to catch up. Great final rally coming through for them.
I feel like they were sleeping on TSG for so long. I mean, they needed to deal with him. They just didn't really send anybody, especially later on in the start of the round. I mean, we did see Z7K just kind of popping off. It wasn't too much of an issue, but then TSG really came into his own. He had that pressure on the back line of Underwatch, and then he was just able to rain down 3 shots. And feels like he received, it felt like Z7K to get his own sleep, like we did last night. 6 a.m.
Yeah, that was a good fun story. So, obviously, we've all been here prepping. Russian guys trying to come up to about 1 hour. 6 a.m. this morning.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Favourite. Apparently, I went and asked the reception staff what the story was, and they explained that their local alarm was a bit messy sometimes, and it went off and made a lot of noise, and they were like, never mind. Someone came out of their hotel room, smashed the button saying there's a fire, and that engineer down, etc. Yeah. I trust you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers in. Stop the bit too much of a two of your team members. It's probably a good idea to back off. It's more keen to the 2000 did pull back. Those are the 1-for-1 really.
Gotta say that.
Heroes never die. Heroes never die.
So Overwatch now, pretty in the body, but it doesn't matter. Although the rest of the
battle continues. Enemy in my
One more arrow away, and they have that combo available to them if they want.
Paddy, you got to be careful. IC9, they must know he has that available. Luke just dropping into no man's land though. Durr still has that super charger available. Zeke's actually going to get the rest of Paddy. It's going to be fairly important. There is the tranquility coming out from Paddy. He's going to keep everybody alive. Cosmos trying to give the old Oki Pokey, but he can't quite turn it around as still Husky does end up losing his head, and now with a priority position, TFG is going to be actually just rain at death from above on that Widow.
Only 2 tanks left as well. It's a bit of an easy cleanup if nothing else is free. All charge unless they back away. Nurse gone down just the Roadhog stand push. He could use it once again. However, ultimates looking okay. On the other side coming on the defensive side of IC9. On the other side, it's pretty much the same story as well. Once that Nurse comes online. So it's still very neutral between the two teams. But this is one big player. I think either a real big pick onto TSG to give themselves some space, or Overwatch going to find themselves.
I really like the positioning actually here of TSG's on the low ground with that grappling hook available. If anybody does want to challenge, he's got out rather than going from up high ground to low ground. Fairly easy to chase. Drop off the structure. It's easy for him to actually accelerate his speed and get up to high ground for safety. Saying that though, JK Lowell does find the double dash and finds blue tank also. Shout out to the main tank as well. The old main tank of IC9. I'm sure he's watching on with glee. Sonia, big shout out to them. Really add that in. They do missions.
Always nice to miss the old boys. TSG's missing.
JK Lowell dashing in, can't quite find the support, although Cosmos is just inches onto that gold pile. Didn't really want to be there though. JK Lowell with a 3k. Hello.
No, what's fine. I was making hand signals to you, and I was like,
I was like 1, 2, 3, do maths.
just learning how to count to 4. That's all it was making. Clearly, JK Lowell knows how to.
TSG actually switching over to the 3 key here. You normally see more often than not, especially when it comes to the tracer or 3 pad, you're like, okay, so I need to surrender my tracer here to actually swap off the 3 to try and counter. But this time around, we are seeing TSG swapping over to actually try and counter Genji, which is a big problem here, which you just saw with Z7K actually being able to rip his head. TSG is going to get rezzed up here. JK Lowell just destroying Silver Husky in the back line. He's gone completely out after. Already on 73% again for that Dragon Ball.
A lot of Roadhogs today, and of course, a lot of whole hogs that means. Being a big impact play from fights that goes on, but those crucial crowds being missed, what could cost them here as well. G-Move is very big on the support.
2 minute 30, 1 minute 20 seconds left as well. Zoko is still control of the point. He has to take out G-Move, but it's all on Ronin, sorry, I should say, from Guardians of the Galaxy. I did think it was like a reference, I'm not entirely sure, I didn't actually ask him. I can imagine it was. Protecting Dick. That's what it is, by the way, that's all.
60 seconds.
Oh my god. I'm actually really excited to see that, but I don't actually. If you do, then almost falling. TSG finds the nice flashbang and the roll back. Easy clap. TSG very careful. Paddy also falls. They're just going to build up ults for the time being. 30 seconds remaining. Only got 2 down, but they are 5 meters. That cart is rolling back this time as well. This is what we were talking about earlier. IC9 and Underwatch playing so far up above the cart. This cart is perpetually rolling back, and they will have to push it further and further, forcing out the self-time service.
This is their final fight, but they've got no support until it's online. It's like their last defensive round, Jaws. They're popping out the balcony, they're ready to take that transport is very much so needed. However, JK Lawless already gone, but a red should come through the tree.
It's 12 o'clock. G-Moon rushes straight in. Paddy is actually going to go down with G-Moon's neck falling as well, and G-Moon actually going down himself. The overtime still will be ticking through. He just has to deal with the Winston. So easy. Hello, Ludus, well finding Shriek and Z7K. What is happening, Des? With a blink of an eye, the entirety of Underwatch was deleted, and IC9 will take the first map of Junkertown.
Like I said, underdogs maybe, but underdogs can still bite, and they are biting back against Underwatch. Some big plays coming out of both sides, but it's JK Lol who's walking away with that play of the game.
Was it a surprise, really? It was that Dragon Blade. It kind of had to be, right? I mean, you look at the side of IC9 right now, they only lost 2 series in their lead up to the finals here, and they've been kind of a dark horse as their first season really competitively playing together. They've had 4 months with Zelko actually on the lineup, and 6 months together as a team as well. They came together around October, November time, so they've had a fair bit of time to actually gel together as a team. But Underwatch, they've got a lot more experience under their belt this time around. It's not paying off for them.
What can I say? Research, bit of preparation, bit of understanding of what it is that you're coming up against here, and just being ready for those that you're coming up against. Underwatch, as I said, these guys have seen them on stream an awful lot. They'll have seen the style they play. They'll have their own style, and all the thing you got to start looking at sometimes is how you adapt. And we said this a lot again in contenders for teams like CIS Hope that we speak about all the time. It's about adapting to what you come up against. And well, TSG, what can I say? That guy pretty much popped off there, whether it was Widow, whether it was the McCree. Got to admit, at first with the McCree, I was like, this isn't really working out the way they want, because you're getting pops, your head's being taken off by Z7X every single time. Once he found himself with a bit of room though and started cleaning things up, especially that blade from JK Lol, that's the kind of plays you want from your big DPS player.
Yeah, that was pretty spicy. Just flashbang him straight up.
And you're a big McCree fanboy.
The old fan, the hammer. I'm only a big McCree fanboy because I'm not surprised. I'm quite surprised teams aren't actually picking it up so readily. In all honesty, it's kind of a big question mark to me because it does shut down things like the Genji if you are rather savoury of your flashbangs. I shouldn't say savoury is not quite the right word I was looking for, but if you're rather
conservational,
conservational or like cautious with your flashbang usage, I mean, more often than not, you don't really want to go fairly aggressive. You want to be hanging around your backline, just making sure your Zenyatta is protected. Zenyatta being probably the best support in the game right now, perfect for carrying Celica as well. That Q button really does stop a lot of ultimates and really stops a lot of your team going down more often than not. And that's the key target for Genji. That's the key target of JK Lowell. You saw him when he got that Dragon Blade player of the game. He was going for the Zenyatta first. He knows Paddy is going to be the main source of healing for the rest of his team as soon as he pops the Transcendence, and TSG did a fantastic job of just shutting that down completely.
At the end of the day as well, even if you use the blade and don't really get anything, as long as you're forcing the Trans out of the other side, that is a big ultimate because it denies most things in the game, to be honest with you. Takvise is going to get through. Of course, the Zen himself is pretty much invincible. Not pretty much, he is invincible during that ultimate as well. It's just super hard to make anything around him, so sometimes it's just worth it getting that Trans off the table.
My favourite ever comment that I ever received is my apparent lack of knowledge of Zenyatta, and him saying, someone on Reddit,
do these guys doesn't make him invincible?
Do these guys play Overwatch? Zenyatta or doesn't make him invincible?
Downvoted.
Minus 30 downvotes, my friend. Unlucky.
It happens.
We are going to jump onto Veskai Industries, which is going to be the next map coming through. And I did speak to the teams beforehand and ask them kind of what is their favourite map type coming into the series. And you got to have your favourites, especially with the dive that IC9 are running more often than not. We've seen they haven't switched off anything else. It was merely the Junkrat, which isn't really a dive hero. They were kind of sedimentary in the way they actually wanted to play with the Orisa, which is kind of a shock. They did say dive is probably one of their best assets right now as a team. They can flex onto other things, and we've clearly seen that, right?
Yep.
And I do really enjoy seeing the Widow, especially with this dive, because she becomes very, very untouchable more often than not. But they did say that control is one of their favorite map types, and for Sky Industries being this 2 control point map variant, I want to see how they're actually going to hold this off. Are they going to run this offensive dive on the defense, or are we going to see something like a more ball and chain composition like we saw before with the Roadhog and with TSG actually setting up on the Widowmaker?
Yeah, I mean, Assault, interesting map type. Control, not quite, but I guess you can almost look at it the same as you say, because that first point Assault you're going through, it's just the constant fighting and the battles back and forth. I mean, Assault was almost bit of a meme at some points, right? It's always that kind of first point fight which tends to go one way. Second one, a little bit less so, but quite commonly what we see on a lot of teams is that they will just roll that first point victory straight into a second one because they don't burn so many ults on that first point. So who knows, maybe you see another surprise here in IC9 find themselves with that sudden snowball all the way through, but it will be a lot harder here trying to assault that second point than what it would have been with Junkertown the last round, where it was a bit of a brawl, but IC9 ultimately prevailed.
What's actually really scary about this map type, and we saw it on Junkertown, is actually Zelko's Junkrat is pretty terrifying. On Voskai Industries, more often than not, I think we're going to see Junkrat from IC9. It makes the most sense. That choke is so hard to actually get around. There's obviously the small window on the top right-hand side. If you're going from the attacker side, you can send a Pharah over the top also, but you got to kind of put this in perspective, what both of these teams have already ran. I think Genji's going to be a big pickup here for JK LOL. However, you are looking at a Genji that isn't going to be also much supported, especially as they're running Orisa for the majority of the map too.
Yeah.
This is going to be more often... this is going to be a composition that I think is going to maybe target Zelko a little bit more than maybe just actually jostle with TSG. If you can kind of kill that frontline damage dealer, it's not too hard to deal with the Widowmaker if she's just popping heads left, right, and center. Obviously fairly hard, but that burst damage that comes from Junkrat and the consistency of that damage as well, if you take that out, there's very little follow-up that IC9 can actually put out.
It depends which way they choose to play it, because we see in Overwatch League an awful lot as well on this map. Things like the Ana, the Zen coming out thanks to those long sight lines, and then the Widowmaker in the back, sometimes with the Mercy as well. That's a strategy we see some teams try to adopt, but most of the time, like you say, go for that Junkrat. It's pretty much a given safety pick on any map that you come to. Exactly, that damage is just insane. 30 seconds still in games, guys, and we will get this one underway. Second game, of course, IC9 currently in the lead, 1-0. Got to admit, not the scoreline I expected coming into the second map.
Especially Junkertown as well. I mean, Junkertown's really heavily favoured in terms of like DPS players, because the hero pools, especially for IC9, do look a little bit less so compared to Underwatch. I did, like I mentioned before, I went around and say, okay, what can you guys kind of play? What's in your wheelhouse? JK LOL mainly being this tank player in solo queue has obviously flexed and picked up this projectile role and the hit scan role for the team, and he's a very good tank player from what I've been told. He plays a lot against people like Bears we've seen in contenders. He's playing against the big boys in solo queue, but picking up this DPS, maybe he's not out of the water right now, but he's definitely in unfamiliar territory when it clearly comes up against people like TSG, who can just take control of the game if he's given an inch.
On the defensive side, then starting to get their picks lined up. Looks like it's pretty much the standard go-to in terms of the Widowmaker playing on the back with the Mercy. So the hybrid dive that we've gotten very used to seeing from a lot of teams, especially on this first point. You can mix things up quite a bit when it comes to the second. On the other side, we're seeing the fabled quad tank being hovered. Now, we've cast a lot of quad tank in recent weeks, and generally what quad tank does incredibly well is move to a location quickly, take it on lockdown, and for the next 10 to 15 seconds, if the healing is good and the protection of the healers is good, it's very difficult to move them off that point. So even if you have to give up 1 or 2 segments of the capture for it, it can give you so much in terms of what the defense and what the attacking team can get, that you just keep on basically running your head against a brick wall until eventually the wall falls apart. And that wall generally falling apart comes in the form of getting 2 or 3 tank ultimates online and just bursting your way through.
TSG is a monster with damage as well. 44% already on the infocytes. Doesn't like Underwatch, just trying to run to the point as fast as they can, just brawl it out with their quad sight like you were mentioning. Zico just building up pulse bomb fairly quickly. With Ronan going down though, this is not a comp you actually want to brawl on top of the point. They're going to beat you out more often than not. TSG now being forced back. This is exactly what you want to do if you're G-Moon, and this is going to be all said and done already. I mean, 4 people contesting. They're going to be able to secure the first tick, and with Silver Husky going down, it's all TSG and it's all Zelko to actually try and clean this up, but Coalescence is going to end his life pretty shortly.
Absolutely, so a very, very confident, strong push. That's what you want to see coming out of Quad Tank. And Ronin, I've got to question what happened at the very start of this fight, because you're seeing exactly what happened now as he essentially dropped down, misses to jump away.
Hang on a second, TSG's popping off! G-Moon and Paddy already going down. Des, this guy is an absolute beast. How is he actually not contesting this high ground? You've got 2 people, you've got 1 person with mobility and Z7K who can hold the high ground as well with the hog. This is so strange. TSG being completely left alone, and now Zoko gets his way in the back line. I already called the point too early. They get a couple of ticks, but this is not what you want to see from Underwatch, such a historic and noble team in the NUEL.
However, the big thing is, and what they're trying to do is the right decision here as well, as they are saving those tank ultimates. They have nearly got 3 online, so they have to burn some here just to make this next push work. They've already got 2 segments, so to them, this was a victory regardless of the outcome of the fight. They were happy with what they got, but TSG shutting down Moira once again, that is going to slow down this
How
push.
does this happen? You're behind 2 shields as well with the Zayas, and you've also got the defense matrix. You're just allowing TSG all this high ground room, and it looks like you're more worried about Zelko at this current moment in time. You've got a few ults to work with now. Z7K just needs to be able to find his way up onto the high ground alongside G-Moon to just secure it and stop TSG actually getting these free sight lines.
I mean, realistically, the nice thing about playing against quad tank when you're Widows, you've only got to worry about the D.Va, and if your team can protect you, you're in a pretty good spot. Vernon's got his ultimate here, and they're all on the point.
Z7K is going to activate that whole hog, pushing everybody away, but that Coalescence is going to heal him up. Self-Destruct is going to make sure everybody's cleared off completely. Sound Barrier did come down as well, so a nice chunky bit of HP. TSG trying to find the shots, but finally G-Moon actually finds him out. Nice grappling hook back onto the high ground, but G-Moon is making sure he's actually kept busy for the time being. We are about 80% on this point as well. They still have grab available. They're just waiting for the perfect opportunity. I got to say, all you got to do is catch Cosmos here, and it's pretty much all said and done. Maybe they're just trying to stagger the ultimates so they think they can win without it.
Yeah, Streets goes down here as well, so Vernon getting more of a consolation kill, you might say, because the kill feed is all red, and it's going the side of Underwatch. So it took a few attempts, 1 minute left on the clock, but they still managed to make it work, and now they can go for the push, because look here, they've got those 3 big ultimates they needed online. They've got the Shatter, they've got the Grav Surge, and they've also got that Coalescence.
Coalescence and Graviton Surge doing a whole heap of damage, not to be underestimated. However, if Zelko can get a pick off here with that Pulse Bomb, it's not nerfed Pulse Bomb just yet. TSG actually jumping over to the Pharah Mercy comp, so realistically, they're not going to be able to do too much. Beautiful stick onto Paddy, already using that fade, meaning that their main source of healing has already gone down. Durf wants to save his Graviton Surge here. Does look like a swift exit from them, or as though I say that, JK Lowell laying down the law did put the hammer to the ground. Cosmos and Silver Husky are already falling. TSG is the only member alive, and at 18 HP, just needs to survive. 2 ticks remaining. He's going to have to make a miracle pick here.
Going to have to try at least to get the stall from the Tracer, but he can't make it to the point, and Underwatch, they do what we thought they might do. They managed to snowball that first point win into the second incredibly quickly.
Durf didn't even use the Graviton either, mind you, not even to stall out and just stop them actually getting onto the point. Maybe he was just waiting for people to actually peek and then use it to just make sure Ryan got an easy time. That was all on the Earth Shatter. JK Law came down with the hammer to the ground, and it was a clean and easy sweep. As soon as you catch that Transcendence, the Zenyatta and the Mercy, which should more often than not be up in the air, not actually healing the ground targets, because TSG was a bit of a nightmare for them to actually deal with, because there was no hit scan players. It was all up to G-Moon on the D.Va and all up to the Moira as well to actually deal with them up in the skies, and taking out that Mercy, it would just added another knife to the coffin.
It's very tough. Like, we thought the Grav Surge with the Coalescence would be the big combo, but realistically with the Earth Shatter coming down and just catching a few out, and then it's Paddy D bringing the Coalescence out himself, the healing he was given onto this quad tank lineup as they basically stormed in off the back of that Earth Shatter. There was no way they were dying, and to be fair, I like that TSG went over to the Pharah, trying to go for the bit of a change up there, realising that actually the Junkrat or Pharah, some projectile would be a lot more useful to them than what the Widowmaker would be on the second point. Just didn't really have time to make it work because his team had already been cleared off the point before he managed to get into a position to start landing damage. And as you said, G-Moon was there in his face the whole time. Definitely made his life a bit miserable. In the times where he kind of got the freedom, you can see exactly why G-Moon is being tasked with dealing with him though, because the guy was popping heads for the first 2.5 minutes of that last round.
Attackers incoming in 30
You can just ban a hero, you'd ban Widowmaker. TSG doing a kind of a stellar job, and honestly, you want to run it on offense here, but the thing is, you've got to put it to Underwatch to actually find a way to actually get around him. And with the current defensive setup, they're looking at an extremely aggressive dive with that Sombra rather than the Genji, which JK Lowell picked up in the last round on Junkertown. Z7K also picking up that Tracer, so hacking that big health pack and actually just getting onto the back line might just find the breakdown of communication they actually need, and to stop TSD getting all this room as well.
Go for the Sombracer dive almost here with those two going in. We've seen it quite a lot previously, like I say, the kind of competitive level in Europe especially, it's starting to almost have a rude awakening here, you could say. Zelko almost getting hacked out immediately, but JK Lol gonna have to blink back.
It's very easy to knock Sombra out of the hack now. You get a 2-second cooldown also. We are playing on the live patch, remember, so that 2-second cooldown is also important, but you can see the big flank that JK Lol and Z7K are trying to do. They are going to manage to find the hack on the health packs, which is also important. It does provide a lot of boon of HP, and it does allow the team to actually stall out for a fairly long period as well. JK Lol sneaking in with that invis, is going to try and find a hack on somebody, but it's instantly spot out, actually cancelled his own hack as the target did get LOS'd. Durf, though, How is he found Cosmos and Silver Husky already? I don't know, but Ronin's going to have to just follow this up with at least something. But JK Lowell just easily sending him to the grave. Lude's just going to go for a quick reset here. 3 minutes left on the clock. Underwatch. They, explain what just happened, Des.
Well, the problem was, because when they were trying to push through from ops to the outside of the balcony, everyone left except the 2 supports. And they were looking at the Tracer and they thought, okay, this is safe, we got rid of the Sombra. No, there is now a big monkey jumping into your face and there was no one sitting on top of those 2 supports. So even though it was only a few meters of separation, it was more than enough to just enable Durf to get in there and, as you saw, get the double kill onto Cosmos and Husky, and that was the whole attack shut down.
You can see what they're trying to do and actually trying to set TSG up on the right hand side high ground here and just set him up with a damage boost winner. You can see him almost pinging the head of Z7K, but doesn't quite get there. IC9 need to be able to touch this point though. They need to put the Tracer on there just to try and contest for the time being, and then hopefully just force people out. Speaking of force people out, they're going to force out the res. Silver Husky having to get rezzed up, and TSG going down once again to Durf. This guy's an absolute monster right now, opening up with a Primal Rage. Underwatch, another clean sweep for them. 2 minutes now left on the clock, and they already haven't got many else to work with. TSG only just having his Infocytes online, and a very late pulse bomb as well coming through from Zelko.
Yeah, Durf doing absolute work there. He was basically 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4 for the start of that fight until his team kind of came along for assistance. G-Moon and Z7K quickly turning it into a 3 versus 3, and there was not really much more to say than that. I've got to say, he's positioning for Durf. That's twice now he's managed to get onto the supports in isolation. IC only got to tiny up a little bit, I think, maybe worry more about the supports than about the Widowmaker. Otherwise, this may be one of their final pushes. They've only got a minute and a half left to go.
I can definitely understand why you'd run the Zenyatta here if you're IC9, but Alucio might be a little bit better for you. Actually, Speed Boost onto the high ground. Was really going down. Big EMP, though. Look at that sticky from the sky. Z7K ends up fighting TSG, but Zelko's on the back line. Just needs to be able to touch this point. He needs to be able to get a little bit of time here, as that tick has almost been acquired. Hacked health pack there, buddy. That's not your territory whatsoever. A nice little blink, although a follow-up easily killing JK Lowell. Silver Husky now finding himself on the high ground with TSG. Is going to find himself a kill onto the Tracer too. So finally, IC9 now pushing forward, enabling to take this point. They did it eventually, but are they going to make any swap-offs here? TSG swapping off to something else hit scam-wise might be a good opportunity here, because JK Lowell is just going to be a menace to deal with in such a tight corridor.
Only about 15 seconds slower than what we saw come out of the other side as well, so still some good time to play with, but already got 20 seconds to go. They've got to win this push, otherwise they're finding themselves in a deficit compared to what Underwatch managed to achieve last time round. They've got hold of the Transcendence if they want to use it, but they don't have that quad tank steamroll potential that we saw out of Underwatch on their attack.
Okay, so TSG actually swapping over to the 3 this time instead. It's actually going to have rather easy control, and easy control of the Z7K's head as well. That Discord Orb ending Durf's life rather quickly. Self-destruction by a little space and room to move. Just force out the Transcendence from Silver Husky rather prematurely, but seriously, maybe it's not, Des, as Reek does end up going down. Zelko trying to find something. Oh, the pole, that would have been so sick,
close.
JK Lowell with the perfect timing. Speaking of perfect timing, 2 ticks almost already acquired here for IC9, looking to make this one push wonder. Although with Zelko losing the battle against this Tracer, all these hacked health packs are working absolute wonders for Z7K, who can move around the map with free win.
Absolutely, there's a nice EMP coming through to give the opportunity. However, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, because they're still managing to clean things up here. Husky's got so many kills now. Z7K brings 2 back. That could be the big turnaround.
Z7K finds the mech of Lude. Ronin's going to go down as well, but Cosmos is going to be able to find the res. And look at the backline, the double support hero on to TSG wasn't quite enough. Z7K just dodging around the headshots. Has found Silver Husky as well. 5-player kill streak for Z7K. Starting to actually really come online, and that was all on just taking out TSG. You could see him in the back line receiving the damage boost from the Mercy. Even Silver Husky had an orb on him as well, so he was basically invincible for that entirety of the fight, laying down so much damage, and that was really the unraveling of Underwatch's defense now. However, JK Lowell switching onto the Soldier is going to have provide his team with a little bit more long-range assault as well.
Already down to 3 minutes, minute and a half deficit compared to what Underwatch have got in their time bank, and they're struggling right now. It feels like Underwatch have got themselves into a cozy spot where they're quite happy to not be moved, and with Z7K popping off on the Tracer, it comes as no surprise. 4 kills to himself in that last fight, or at least the final blows coming through. So you expect more of the same once again, and with this pulse bomb coming through, this could be a great opportunity to shut him down before that Transcendence comes online.
But they have got that Deadeye. I want to see something big from TSJ. It's very hard to get a Deadeye off in this map. Extremely close quarters means there's lots of places to hide. Pulse Bomb actually kills Z7K. I think actually I think they might have actually dived straight back into it. Ronan went fairly low. There's the Deadeye, finds one. Drake's going to go down. TSG now moving on to the point. They need to be able to secure at least another tick here to make this push worth it. Ronan finding his Paddy. And oh dear, Ronan popping off. JK Lowell Durf is going to fall. And with Zico actually getting rezzed here, they're going to be able to push this forward. And it is only the Tracer left. Z7K trying all he might to stall it out. Wasn't quite enough. And G-Moon's favourite Doomfist wasn't quite enough to save the day. 2 minutes 7 on the clock, Des. A little bit slower than Underwatch did do it in, but they still managed to complete the point, which is the important thing.
Absolutely. I mean, with double the time really on the side of Underwatch, we saw the first point for both teams take about 3.5 minutes to get the push through. You give it over to Underwatch with how things have been going, but we said this at the very start of the cast. We said, for Underwatch, these are the guys coming in as favourites, the guys, the higher SR players, the more well-renowned. We've seen them play together for a little bit longer. Let's not forget, this IC9 roster in its entirety has only been playing together for 4 months. 6 if you'd argue without Zelko, but with his pickup it's been about 4. But they are definitely showing that even though the time isn't really there for them compared to how long Underwatch have been playing, they can still put on a good show and show them what they're made of. Right now, it's Underwatch with the advantage. Once again, rolling more towards that Sombracer comp that we saw earlier on. And you're looking towards, I think, the Winston's here. We saw Ronan go big at the end of that last round. In the previous one, it was all about Durf on the first point defense. So if those guys can have a big performance once again, who knows which way this match could go.
It's all called. It's not scripted whatsoever.
Of course not. No, it's scripted, mate. Come on.
I love that. The scripted meme is such a joke. So scripted NUEL, by the way. Underwatch always win. That's why they're the villains.
I mean, maybe. Because we're having, obviously you might have seen the guys with cameras running around today. Go and say hello if you do, get yourself some cool pictures. Because we're putting a video together. So like some marketing material for NUEL. That could be our script. We could say, yeah, we're really looking forward to Underwatch losing 3-2 today. I mean, IC9 losing 0-3.
Just record both of them.
Exactly, right? And then you piece it together and you look like a prophet almost. It's great.
I know proper craft, that's for sure. TSG jumping on the McCree now, so they want to get them on the high ground. Didn't work out for the Widow last time, so having a McCree, a little bit more consistent damage, especially with the defense capabilities as well. Speaking of defense capabilities, takes a flashbang for that. Cosmos trying to get the home smoky again. Silver Husky is going to get free 5 for Z7K with full control of the point. Silver Husky going down first up does mean that Resurrection is now not available, and you can see him now cutting off the defensive line of Underwatch, IC9, sorry, meaning if they do want to go for the retreat here, they're going to have to reset fairly quickly.
Managed to push them all the way back there. So really, like you say, that was a bit of a wasted minute almost coming through. Lou got knocked out of the mech early on by Z7K, and without the mech, they weren't really able to push because they couldn't keep the supports alive. Constant aggression. There we go. The big Tracer duel between those two goes Z7K's way.
Why was Zelko actually up that far? I mean, the rest of IC9 were back behind the archway near their spawn, just waiting for the reset. He could have easily used those dashes to get across that water on the left-hand side. Just didn't go for the reset, meaning they're going to waste another 10 to 15 seconds here. 50 seconds left on the clock. They haven't even got a tick yet. IC9 pushing in. They've got that pulse bomb. They're going to have to make it work though, but so does Z7K.
Yeah, another big pickup onto Husky. As we saw just a second ago from either him or Durf, that could be it.
He's hunting, he's fishing around, he's going to be up to TSG to try and stun him out of it. Zelko finds himself to the back line, actually used the pulse bomb as well, meaning that Z7K has the advantage in that regard. Dive straight in, pulse bomb onto the D, but doesn't find all too much damage, although LOD is going to go down. There will be the mate destroying itself or self-destructing, but TSG just pulling back, easy headshots onto Z7K, and even JK Low going down, so DPS players falling for Underwatch. It's all onto the tanks. Durf made it work last time around, but those flashbangs doing so much work, and now a Transcendence coming out from Silver Huskies to keep them all alive, even that Valkyrie as well. So double support ultimate's actually used here, expended, 5 seconds remaining. They need to be able to touch the point, but G-Moon happily just taking out the supports at an absolute win. TSG trying to make something work, but all blocked by the defense matrix. IC9, very few members left now on the point with Jurek falling. I think it still might go the way of Underwatch. I mean, you've got Z7K, he's full HP, he's just getting those falls down. There's no way Lube was actually going to stand a chance. Overtime clock ticking through, and that will be a 0-point hold here, or a 0-point completion here for IC9. Now it's all up to Underwatch to find that first hit.
4 minutes 24 to do it in. I know it took them a good 3 minutes last time around to get the full completion. But let's not forget what they did with that quad tank. They took 2 points on their first push. It took a little bit of a while to get that third one. So it's more for IC9 struggling to adapt to what we saw coming out of the other side. They're just going to repeat the same as what we saw before. If it ain't broke, why try and change it? Just keep on doing what's working, and the quad tank has been working wonders.
It's not even the phrase. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the phrase.
If it ain't broke, what did I say? If it ain't broke, don't change it, didn't I say?
Yeah.
I was going to say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I was like, that sounds wrong in my head. Clearly it sounds right out loud.
If it ain't broke, don't change a thing.
What can I say, mate? My brain's working very fast thanks to all this Red Bull. Sweet plugs, baby. I love it.
That's sweet, sweet Red Bull nectar. I mean, it's not really our fault. You can blame whoever punched the fire alarm this morning. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it has been a weird day.
It's been a very strange day. Considering I was in one of those dream states where you're kind of laying in bed and I'm not sure if it was in like REM sleep or deep sleep or whatever, but I knew I was in the dream as soon as I woke up, and it was really one of those jolting feelings where you're like, whoa, and obviously the alarm's going off, and I'm like, well, my day's ruined. I kind of checked my phone. I was like, if it was like 3 or 4 a.m., I think I would have cried a little bit. Tears would have rolled down my face.
I kind of hope. I saw it was light outside, and I thought, okay, it's gonna be about 8 o'clock. This ain't too bad. My phone's 6:12, and I was like, great.
Please say it's 7:55, 5 minutes before my alarm.
Please, but no.
Super Husky actually taking the honor here. This is actually something we did see from Young and Beautiful in Contenders, and something I spoke to Ding about as well. Because the honor's actually really good on this map, considering you can hold the high ground with it. Hold the high ground on the opposite side. Very, very hard to actually dislodge the honor. I really like the play, but with that quad tank line Crow mentioning before, it's going to be a fairly easy push onto the point for Underwatch. They have to give a TSG. One big hack actually onto a tank. Wolfstead, JK Lol flying at least. No shields, no problems. He's going to have to back off, just relying on the majority of the healing from the Moira. Even already taken out Cosmos there, could be a really good sign for them. However, TSG and Zelko just taking out the rest of the squad around him. That big hack is an absolute nightmare on one of the tanks. No defensive abilities remaining, just means that the DPS just get a free reign of damage.
I really like how there's almost a triple threat coming out of the side of IC9 here, because they've got to watch out for the purple coming out of Silver Husky, they've got to watch out from the hacks from behind coming out of the Sombra, and then Zelko's just tearing stuff up once again on the Tracer. And in fact, they're opting to completely change it and try and catch them by surprise, going for full dive. They want this Ana dead.
I really like this. This dive can work out as long as they kill that Ana, like you were saying. The problem is, Ana's receiving so much protection, and Zelko has that pulse bomb. We've even got TSG just sitting on the EMP. Remember, those tanks are so chunky, so it's super easy to actually farm that up fairly early on. The pulse bomb gets actually thrown out, and a big sleep onto Derv does get woken up. Who woke up the court? It's Silver Husky moving away, just making sure he can actually stay alive against the Winston. TSG now just cleaning the rest of the team up. 2 ultimates actually expended there. Nano boost coming up fairly soon. Ronan going down could be a massive problem for them, though, as Underwatch do have sport priority.
They also have the Nano Boost, if they need it, like you say, also available to the Winston, because he's got the Primal Rage, and that essentially gives him 2,000 HP when you weigh in the damage reduction that comes out of that Nano Boost onto him. He's going to be very hard to kill, and I don't think there's really anyone at the minute on the attacking side that has enough DPS left to bring him down.
There we go. A Nano Boost came in, and a purple actually landed onto JK Lowell, and Nade struck him right in the forehead, and that will be Ronan just destroying the front line and back line. Paddy and JK Lowell falling. Means a fairly easy clean up for IC9. Z7K actually does manage to kill up TSG, but the problem is the rest of the tank line is already going for the full reset. G-Moon knows to not waste any time. They've got 2 minutes left in the time bank. They only need to secure 1 tick, remember, and JK Lowell near that blade once again.
Hello, hello. Imagine if they managed to hold this out and force this into a draw. That would be a huge upset for Underwatch, who have had a strong showing so far on this map. I think they're still riding on getting the big ults coming out of this dive lineup. They've nearly got the Primal Rage with the disruption. They've nearly got the blade coming out of JK Lowell. The support ultimates, still a bit of a way out.
Zelko has gone down fairly early on, and in fact, TSG in a lot of trouble as well. Have to use that chance to get it backwards. Nowhere near the EMP. JK Lowell does have that Genji Blade also available to him, but they have to take out Silver Husky. This is something we were talking about earlier on. Sound Barrier is going to come through and hit all 5 members out of the 6 of IC9. Zelko now coming back, but the problem is the rest of the team are falling around him. TSG needs to be able to survive here. Has got 90% of that EMP, but it is all on Zelko. They're not going to be able to do it. The tick rolls through. The rest of his team have fallen, and that will be Underwatch taking Boskaya.
So at least we now have a series on our hands where Underwatch have kind of regained their footing and are now getting back into the groove of things. IC9, still a pretty good showing on that map, but I was going to say, for both of the Winston players on both sides, big performances.
Yeah, I think big performances coming out from every individual member. This is the double kill. So Dirk literally just sat there left-clicked in a shield. There was really nothing they could do to actually break it, so he was more than saying that.
It's just really bizarre, like, they managed to, I thought he managed to get behind them alongside the Sombra and the Tracer and managed to pepper him that way, but he jumped straight through the tanks, the DPS, inside the door, killed the supports, and still managed to live. That should never be allowed to happen.
I think all of these players right now are having standout performances, and I think one of the reasons why is they're playing on Republic of Gaming equipment. I mean, seems like the...
Are we doing that? Are we doing this lot called Plug War now, are we?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, we'll
it's
keep
probably
going.
they're playing
So
on
after
the
the Red Bull, you've done the rug. Now we've got to do
ROG
something else as well,
equipment.
right?
Have you seen those PCs though?
They are
Honestly,
very beastly.
like
They're colourful as well.
You see, I tried to pimp out my machine. Maybe it's because I wasn't using Republic of Gamer equipment that it doesn't look as good. I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe. Anyway, we have got a 5-minute break for the guys now after that second mount. They can take a breather, we can take a breather, and everyone can get themselves reset and ready for Game 3. So we'll jump to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be Game 3 of this series between IC9 and Underwatch. What can I say? I like a bit of a jig as well, man.
Like,
You gotta enjoy the music
music
sometimes,
gotta
right?
go, like,
We'll
put
go.
Let
me get nice and cozy again.
Kind of you know, a classic man myself, like in the Overwatch soundtrack, to actually send myself to sleep.
Yeah,
And the sounds of Red Bull pouring into a career crystal glass. Is
that now 2-1? Are we just finding the nice little places to kind of segue all this stuff in as best we can?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
doing it.
Okay. I'll think some of the credits
so.
as we go along.
Put them down. Write them down in your nice little note of paper. We are here at NUEL Live. My name is Jules, joined by Desert Chew. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are one apiece in the series thus far. We did see Junkertown taken by IC9, and so recently, Volsky Industries actually taken down by Underwatch.
Yeah, and it's been a lot closer than I think what a lot of people would have written this series being down for. Again, looking at it on paper, you give it over to Underwatch. They're the guys who've been the top consistently in the tables. They're the guys we've seen on stream a lot, consistently beating every other team. They haven't played against IC9, and clearly that is catching them out a little bit. That first map on Junkertown, pretty close, went down to the final few meters, but IC9 with their final decisive fight really took it away, and they almost managed to go for a full hold there on Volskaya in the overtime push that came through for Underwatch. So it's definitely not a game that's going to get rolled over, I think. We're at 1-1 right now. That speaks to just how close this series is. Now we're going in onto Ilios, and we've seen a lot of interesting things on Ilios, from big Widowmaker plays to going for a lot of environmental kills, thanks to, of course, Well, and going on to the Lighthouse. In this case, we're going to start things off on Ruins. So it's all about that Widowmaker.
May. On Lighthouse.
Never freeze.
Never
Gotta find the time to
freeze.
say it if someone plays it, right?
I love it. May is an interesting hero at best. Is one of the heroes that I hold quite fondly in my heart. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Leveling up an account, I'm playing May only. It's great, mate. And
Is
then
it
going
is
into
it-
ranked and never playing her again.
Is it
Feels
because she's
bad.
as cold as your heart?
Yeah, basically. It's as cold as Sodaku is right now. Sodaku's pretty cold. Everybody's so cold-hearted.
New season soon. It's okay.
New season. Yeah, that is true.
New
Only
season
2 days in between. That is one of my favorite things about Overwatch. Actually, one of the highlights for me is only 2 days gap in between seasons. You see other games is like a month or whatever. It gets kind of frustrating. You're like, I kind of want to play ranked. I kind of really want to get into it. You know, I'm feeling it right now. And we only have to wait 2 days. It's great. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. I mean, to be fair, we've got League of Legends tomorrow as well. We're allowed to mention it now. We're in a safe space, Jaws. We're allowed to mention the game.
I was like, other esports.
And as soon as I said that, I thought his
Oh,
eyes kind of dropped like no. And I'm like, it's okay, it's okay.
We don't have to
One.
mention CSGO though, because
Round one.
Overwatch is
Capture the objective.
superior game.
It's okay.
It's A tier.
No, I agree. That 2 day break between seasons, it's kind of a bit of a refresh, bit of a mental, and you go again, climb higher.
Go again.
Okay,
Go again,
okay,
team.
gonna get diamond
I
next
mean,
season.
TSG, you want to go again, mate. Because JK Low just took you down to about 20 HP. Although already, that 7K is actually worked its way to the back line. Good health pack control by TSG, though. Is going to be able to find that one away from the tracer. And she's going to actually force the recall here. JK Low has the primary position, though. You got to note where these tracers that are, these Widowmakers are actually positioning themselves. But with Durf going down fairly early, that's going to be a return kill on Silver Husky. He was left completely high and dry here, but Shriek is actually going to get paid the price as well. TSG is going to be able to secure his head for his trophy.
That feels like a recurring problem coming through for IC9. We saw it on last month when they were trying to go for the push through Ops on Volskaya's first point. Husky and Cosmos were just left out to dry a lot by the DPS from the other side. Regardless of that, they still managed to take the point just by doing the exact same onto Underwatch.
I mean, maybe that's the Korean
secret.
the Korean support duo coming in strong. You know, I mean, these guys came in as I say imports. The team kind of jokingly around like, yeah, Korean imports. They're definitely going to win the game for us. Definitely, 100%. They're on supports
all the way.
Battle Mercy. Has anybody not seen that clip, by the way, of Rascal's Battle Mercy, nanoing the Mercy in mid-flight when she's pressed that QG? It's pretty disgusting. That was pretty disgusting too. TSG had no clue what just happened there. Did get post bombed in the end. 31% though now on the clock for IC9. It's going to be the push in for Underwatch. They should be able to give this one fairly quickly. Zelko not willing to actually contest, although I say that as Luke does end up going back in, but you're going to have to help your supports out. That's an easy kill for Z7K, who's on the back line, just permanently stuck to them like a bad dream. That didn't work.
I did wonder where you're going to go with
A
that
bad
one.
dream?
The
I was
answer was apparently nowhere.
Yeah, apparently nowhere. That didn't work too well, but I'll go back to my notes.
It's alright, mate. Go on. I'll let you
It's
off
the lack
today.
of sleep.
I know, mate. That's why you're referring back to dreams. Like, I just want to be asleep now with the dreams, man.
That's true.
No
Zago's
memes.
dreaming of a pulse bomb right now. Hasn't really had the same impact as Z7K has.
Nice segue. TSG, the Infosite online now. They've got nearly 4 ultimates online on the attacking side for IC9. Underwatch currently in possession of the point, have 2. But you're looking maybe, I think, 3 to the Durst online as well. That Transcendence will be a big one for them, and there we go. TSG finds the head of JK Lowell.
I'm very surprised actually. IC9 didn't actually push forward with that Infosights. They could see where everybody was, and that gives you such a innate advantage that you're going to be able to tell and coordinate an attack a little bit better. Durf actually going to jump onto TSG, going extremely low. He's already used that leap, however, that hook shot should be coming up fairly soon. But Z7K once more finding Silver Husky, just punishing the discoordination in the back line.
Get a nice sticky onto G-Min though to try and trade it back across. Doesn't secure the kill, but it will go down eventually. Having to do the bit of a runaway here from the monkeys who's chasing him down.
Kill for Lude onto Zreek, and that should be Lude actually just finishing up the deck of G-Moon. However, Ronin is going to get Bunny blasted into space, and that'll be Z7K now just hunting for yet another pulse bomb. They're still contesting, mind you, halfway on that clock, but Zelko, he's got a very little room to actually work with here. Already used that recall, only had 1 dash available to him as well. JK Lowell soon finds his space.
Very scrappy and kind of back and forth, at least here on Ruins. Like, both teams are losing members. There's no consistent grouping and pushing. It's just kind of throwing bodies at the point. I mean, in this case for IC9, they've had to go for the full reset. Opening things up once again with JK Lowell versus TSG. It always seems to be the opening gambit of any fight before we see one of the two sides engage and go for the white.
Now we want to see Zelko actually make his way to the backline, has to disrupt that Widow somehow, but JK Lowell already finding Lude. There's the Pulse Bomb instantly used. Cosmos tried to go for the Resurrection as well in broad daylight, and JK Lowell just closes the curtains on him, and that will be another easy push, it seems, for the side of Underwatch. Overtime ticking through, and you've got to say, this is a rather decisive game, all determined and paced out by Z7K. This guy's Tracer is something really to be feared right now. You've got to be able to protect Silver Husky and Cosmos a little bit more because they are very disconnected from the team right now.
It feels really weird because IC9 held that point to about 44% very easily, and then once Underwatch took the point back, they just never managed to find themselves an in to actually get onto the point, go for the contest, and go for the clear to win it back. I think a lot of that was that though TSG was being forced to play the Widowmaker, but we've already seen what he can do on something like McCree. Maybe that's what they need for the defensive side. You've taken Cosmos already on the Mercy, just give him something safe like that McCree. But here, now that we're heading through onto Well, not to go for the ball and chain, we are seeing that come out of the side of Underwatch, but for both teams going towards that hybrid Pharah.
Okay, so I was talking to TSG a little bit earlier, talking about his hero pool. He didn't say Widow is one of his big heroes to play, and we've kind of seen that in action already. Said Sombra was pretty good for him too, but Pharah is the first one they actually mentioned, so maybe this is a little bit more at home for him. Silver Husky will be jumping onto that Lucio to give a nice bit of AoE healing and hopefully a couple of crazy loops. But one thing I want to notice actually, and point out, I should say, on the side of Underwatch, is they've got that Zenyatta instead. He's extremely vulnerable to someone like Pharah. He can't really deal with him unless he lands a Discord and a nice couple of shots. So it's really going to be up to JK Lowell actually landing these rockets in the air onto TSG. But Paddy already going down with G-Moon following him. It's going to be an easy push with IC9. Should be able to secure it first up. This ball and chain doesn't do well when it's not actually secured itself onto the point.
Very, very tough to hold. Really, anything's worse than you being pushed that stick, pushing back this aggressively by the side of IC9. But this is exactly how the last round started. IC9 holding it for about half before we saw Underwatch sweep in and take it away from them. And already Z7K has that ultimate online. That pulse bomb is there. If they can find one of the two crucial healers on the side of IC9, you might just find this whole backbone falls apart. Although you will struggle to catch out Cosmos because, of course, he's in the air with this Pharah.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that Underwatch need to thinking about changing up. I mean, JK Lowell, he's on this fire right now. He's probably one of the better DPS in the game at the moment, but he hasn't even got anywhere near the rocket barrage. TSG is just kind of ruling the air, ruling the skies, I should say. There's a nice pulse bomb kill onto Durf, and with a D-Mech onto G-Moon, even Sharik going down too. TSG just dominating the skies. JK Lowell takes a body shot as well. Did take out Lude in the meantime, but that's just a small stall tactic for Overwatch, Underwatch, sorry, that will not really result in anything. We want to see Z7K just jump onto a hit scan, a different hit scan other than the Tracer to actually deal with this Foreigner.
That's TSG. Not really the guy that you look at when you see this lineup and the SR that they've got and look as the big carry for the team, but he's looking incredibly impressive across all three, and that's what we've seen so far.
There we go. Okay, Z7K now finally switching on to the Widowmaker to try and poke someone out from the spawn there. It's going to be able to move forwards, but it is going to be up to JK Lowell just to try and get a big rocket barrage. Speaking of big rocket barrage, just mostly gets Eaton's actually fired it into the bubble, and Paddy was off to the side, completely caught unaware. However, the rest of the team, as soon as they use that as a distraction, the sound barrier is popped, and that will be the backline instantly falling for Underwatch. So 76%, they haven't had any time on the point whatsoever. Underwatch need to pull something out the bag here. Have got one ult to work with, and that is that rocket barrage, but they need to be able to stagger that Transcendence coming through. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very sad story for Zenyatta.
Yeah, the Valkyrie's about to come on too, and they're not too far away from the self-destruct, so there is that zone denial, at least very briefly, but they need Z7K to get a big pick onto Cosmos or TSG here. Neither of those two have their ultimates. Both tanks do on the side of IC9, so there is an opportunity for them to win this out here and go to 1-1, but Underwatch are on the point.
Just going to go down. JK Low actually finding himself near the floor. That Transcendence helping them heal up, though, however, Cosmos is going to fall, so that's going to be both Mercies down, and now Z7K finally finding TSG. He's going to be on the point, just going melee mode with the D.Va. G-Moon's now going to be the key target here for the slice of IC9. Getting the D-Mech first up just means there's one less body on the point. Zelko trying to find a little bit extra time here. Overtime is ticking down, remember, and they're trickling back onto the point. But as the kill feed goes completely red, they managed to flip it over in the last crucial seconds.
TSG I thought was going to go for the full switch across into the Sombra, but no, going back to the, so more of a momentary transition and thinking, no, let's go back to actually what we were doing before. It was working pretty well. Let's not forget, this is what we saw in the first round on Ruins just a couple of seconds ago, or a few minutes ago even, is we saw them go for this final kind of push with the same comp that they started and managed to catch with, but they never managed to find success actually recapturing the point once it came down to Underwatch taking the point away. Big question now for Underwatch is, can they hold it for the full time? Z7K is going to stick out on this Widowmaker. He's once again looking for TSG to try and deny all this aerial damage. He gets picked off. There he is. He's gone. This could be absolutely huge for IC9.
I don't know how they took out Z7K. Maybe get a replay of that one. Derf now finding his way onto the back, and this is going to be the penultimate fight tier, 99%. And with Paddy going down, he wasn't pretty near that Transcendence, but that's a big healing source now lost for the side of Underwatch. And the kill feed just going completely in the favor of IC9. They're going to be able to control it for the time being. However, as that Primal Rage was popped, and it's all up to deal with that Winston for the time being, and Tracer being quite a menace as well. The Sound Barrier only hitting 3 members, Cosmos, Silver, Husky, and TSG being hit by that one. So again, another massive boon of help. But with Durf falling here, it's all trickling back onto the point. Mercy's trying to do a little something, but Jariq is getting dumpstered like I dumpstered him in Sterling the other day, as he does end up falling in the well.
Yeah, so you saw what happened once TSG once again got that freedom stuff.
Oh my god, TSG got him! He's like, sorry, he panicked, he was like shaking a little bit. Oh boy. It's like he had a mini heart attack and he was like, whoa, just shook the keyboard and mouse a little bit.
Well, it's a horrible thing when you're playing someone as slow as power and it's like, oh man, there's no big ability to get you out of the way, nothing to hide above, like hide behind above you. You're basically stuck there then, and you know you're saying your final prayers. However, they still managed to secure it out, which means we go all the way through onto Lighthouse here to decide who wins the third map.
I want to see them change it up here. TSG, I think, sticks on the fire here, honestly. There's no real... There's no real reason for you to actually switch off. Once you have control of the skies around the lighthouse, it's very hard to actually pick her out the air because she can play the long-range game, and you're forced to pick up a Widowmaker in more often than not. McCree being a very big pick here as well, but the problem is the line of sight actually needed to take out that Pharah is completely subverted with the pillar of the lighthouse.
I like here that Underwatch have at least identified they can't match TSG and they're committed to DPS to try and deal with him and still failing. That's never going to work for them. Instead, going for the triple DPS with the Tracer, they're just going to try and hold this point because TSG, if he gets too close to this point, he's exposing himself and you'll just find himself getting looked away by G-Moon incredibly quickly.
This is really nice play. Okay, they're recognizing the win condition.
Whoa!
Rocket Barrage straight on everybody, still can't streak! He ends up killing himself, and a nice actual pin from JK Lol finds Silver Husky. Is now on Zico, he's the last damage source available, but look at the Coalescence coming out so quickly, with all these tanks going fairly low from that Pharah poke, that healing, and that ult percentage charge being built up by Paddy so quickly.
That was basically just a W mouse one to win for JK Lol. All he had to do was stand on the point and hold down his left mouse button, and everyone died in front of him. It was like magic.
Remember, this guy is a main tank in solo queue as well. He actually switched up to play a DPS role on this team to facilitate the need for one. So he is well versed on this on this pick and on this role also. He's also the shot caller for the team. G-Moon and him kind of share the roles. But Durf going down early. TSG, W and mouse wonders. TSG's just ruining everybody. This Reaper's so hard to deal with, but you could at least think getting an early hook on him was the priority. But cleaning up rather respectively. They've even got Pulse Bomb and Death Blossoms available to them soon. What a quick turnaround. Only 38% acquired here for Underwatch.
Probably even better case of a hero like you say, where you can press W and mouse one and clean things up. TSG switching across that Reaper, a very smart move. They even drop Cosmos away from that Mercy back onto his Zen for when they need it. But there's no real answer to the Reaper here, it feels, coming through. And this is the kind of thing I wanted to see. Something like the Junkrat to at least be able to blow him away if he's getting far too close to your tanks. You've always got the D.Va, but to be honest with you, once that defense matrix is gone, you are basically free ult charge for him.
Yeah, the new Reaper update as well does mean that that ultimate is very, very scary. Just get a small movement speed increase. He's just moving forward now again, just completely raining free fire down. Just took that shields down as well. There is the ultimate, easy cleanup, triple kill. Paddy, Shriek's going to go down, even Z7K. Everybody was in a close-knit corridor. You're going to play, when you want to play a brawler composition, you have to have something that actually takes care of that Reaper. The Junkrat was the opportunistic pick there. Very easy to blow him out of the way, like you said, with the concussion mine, but it didn't work out. So now they're actually switching over to that triple tank with the, the double tank dive comp with the Genji Tracer.
I feel the big problem there is you're trying to push onto the point by at least forcing members away by just spamming grenades in from the Junkrat, forcing them away, and at least denying the Reaper the free opportunity to stand on the point and hold down that left mouse button. They didn't take that time, they just pushed straight into the point and found themselves losing. It's no big surprise that when you run at a Reaper like this, he's going to kill you.
Perfect prioritization, total prioritization from Underwatch. Just recognizing that that support structure was the one actually keeping that Reaper alive. They just dived straight on the back of them. Cosmos and Silver Husky falling first just means that they couldn't really do much in the fight. TSG didn't have the backup he needed on the Reaper. Yes, you've got a little bit of lifesteal or leech in your kit just with your primary attacks, but that was really about it. It's all a it's all a stalling game after that. It's all on to actually you surviving onto that point for the longest amount of time. 76% on the clock with 53. We're almost in that play time again. JK Lowell is showing what he can do fairly early on. That was a very early sound there.
Yeah, very big change as well. They went up to dive to try and force out the Reaper. The Reaper now changing over to the priest. TSG, that's the kind of thing you want from him, bringing down Z7K. IC9 now cleaning up here. Julian at least manages to bring down the mech, but the kill feed is blue, and it's all going IC9's way.
Big, huge is what you're shouting right now in Syracuse. IC9 doing a very good job of just picking off that Tracer. Again, instantly adapting. They know the Reaper wasn't going to work against that dive because he's not so great at actually healing. It really only offers damage to the back, to the diving opposition. While that's good against the Winston Demon, yes, it's a very big problem when you're against someone like a McCree.
That's way too far up there for TSG. Now he's found himself there. This is going to be the big push.
Early Transcendence as well. That blade is free to come out from JK Lowell. There's the pulse bomb, doesn't quite connect, but now a Transcendence coming out from Underwatch, keeping everybody alive. JK Lowell being a very, very patient Cyborg Ninja, just saving that ultimate to the last second. 99% with overtime ticking through. Does mean a cap for Underwatch at 70%, meaning they still have ults to work with. Their ultimate economy has been looking really good over the last couple of games, only investing what they really need.
TSG just dying to get that EMP here. He's actually got about 20% there for very little risk, just staying where he is and quite happily chipping this one away. If they get that EMP, that can be their big time to go for a push. But as it stands, they have no ultimates, and there is the blade on JK Lowell that they've got to try and contend with.
On TSG. Sombra, there's the blade round. Cosmos takes him out, slices him out of the skies, although he does use those thrusters to get away. Now he's just looking for just pure damage. So Z7K is going to be able to clean up onto Rohan and even taking out Lude's mech. Overtime ticking through, and that should be about it. 1-1 apiece, but Lighthouse is going in the favor of Underwatch. Overtime, the wick ticks down, all burnt away, and that will be Underwatch taking the second game in the series.
Third game.
Well, their second game in the series. Thank you for correcting me, Des, though. IC9 taking Junkertown. Obviously, Voskai was taken by Underwatch. But now we're looking at a 2-1 scoreline with a match point on the horizon as we jump into Eichenwald this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, impressive performance by both sides once again. And this series just still continually looking close. If this was just going to a 3-game series, you wouldn't have been able to really call which way it was going, I don't think. And that was really impressive stuff by both sides. IC9, TSG, especially on that Farah. That was the big one for me. He really showed up here. 33% of his team's damage. That's the kind of stuff you want from your, I daren't say standout DPS player, but he's definitely standout in this series.
I want to find my Shriek photo again. I actually put it in the garbage disposal.
Do you want to go find it? Do you want me to find it for you? Where is it?
I don't know.
I don't know, mate. It's buried away. We can
I found it.
We can do this kind of stuff because it's not like, super polished. There we go.
That is the face of a man that just won 2 games in a row. Not really. It looks pretty sad. I'm not going to lie.
That is actually kind of like muted, really. It's kind of like, I'm not impressed with my performance here. So the meme that was about him was that Shriek's dead again. But yes, I haven't really seen him die all that much, I'll be honest.
When he's on the Mercy, he doesn't. There's actually... I love how the fans brought a bag full of memes, but most of them are actually Shriek. The turning from Mercy from the Lucio like normal kind of healer main into a Mercy main when the meta came through. That was hilarious. 2700 I think he got to when he was using Lucio and stuff. Boom, 4K when he uses Mercy.
We need to get all those things brought in so we can just showcase them because they are so worth showing off. And the audience here can appreciate them naturally, but those at home, they've got to see the memes, man. Maybe during the break we'll take them up to the camera.
We will.
And we'll show them.
We're gonna have a break after Eichenwald, so I want to bring them on because they put a lot of work into those memes. Realistically,
That's like true friendship, right? When you're
True
making your
friendship.
friends into memes, things like this, and going even more extreme is showing how he's like not win ratio, but how he's been doing when he was having a lot of Mercy play, and then how far he
He'd
drops.
call it a slump, but I call it just abusing Mercy.
I mean, it's like Dreedro, right? It's the same kind of story. Like, remember Dreedro, one of the guys in Contenders? Like, he was like, yeah, rank 1 in EU. Mercy only.
Yeah, you're Mercy, by the way. Mercy and the Mercy meta, by the way.
We are good to go into game. Production are asking me. We're good to go. Ready whenever you guys are, essentially, because we're ready to get Iconvolt underway. I'm very curious to see how this one plays out, because going for that full escort, we got Iconvolt, then Dorado. So like for like, really, although, of course, this is more hybrid.
I see NUEL talking about their favoured map types, and actually, it was Control, which was their favourite map type, just narrowly being pipped to the post there by Underwatch. And Underwatch, funnily enough, they said, you know what, actually, Dorado, things like being able to push the payload, even King's Row, obviously an old favourite of the NUEL, is actually in their wheelhouse. So Iconvolt, is it going to be the different story here? It's another hybrid map, another map where you have to push the payload and control a lot of ground in front of you. Is this going to be a match point victory here for Underwatch? Being a best of 5 is... it would just be a win. What am I talking about? I was thinking about best of 7. This could just be the straight up win here for Iconvolt. Production, by the way. I mean, casting, by the way. It's top notch.
Real custom, by the way.
6 hours sleep, by the way.
It's all good fun. Is what it is. It's the go-to saying.
It's
that we
what
always
it
have.
is.
It is what it is. You make of it what it is. All that kind of good stuff. Iconvolt, again, looking forward to, because if we manage to get ourselves through this 4th map and into the 5th, that's going to be one crunchy boy in that Dorado round.
Crunchy boy? That's one crunchy boy. You're going to say spicy game, boy would make sense?
Look, this is the best thing, right? Anything we say that's weird, we can just go 6 hours sleep, by the way. Fire alarm, by the way.
By the way, fire alarm.
It was 5 hours sleep, actually.
God,
I got to sleep about 1 o'clock and it went off at 6, so 5 hours. It's even worse.
Put headphones in, boom. Hit the pillow, it was gone.
Should have kept him in, mate. Maybe it wouldn't have woke you up. You could have done a John Allen and stayed in bed that way.
Get burned alive. John Allen cooked.
We got John Observes,
John Allen
in general, John cooked, yeah. In more than one ways. Anyway, in we go.
Here we go.
Iconvolt. We'll be jumping into it in just a second. Starting here, you'll have a nice little countdown in a minute as we go into it. Let's talk about what we're expecting to see. Farah, TSG saw a lot of that. Think we'll see more here?
On the offense...
You're the colourcaster now. Yeah. Look at me. I'm the play-by-play caster now.
I'm the play-by-play caster. I love that meme.
In that exact accent as well.
TSG... more often than not, I think you are going to run the fire here on offense for sure. I mean, the aerial superiority you can get just by kind of diving over the buildings is just second to none. It would make a lot of sense for Underwatch here to actually run more of a defensive style composition, because you're looking at the last few picks that that TSG actually brought out was what? We're talking McCree a little bit, we're talking a lot of Widow, and then a lot of Farah. So we're not looking to him to actually go onto the Genjis, go onto the Traces, and actually make his way to the backline. More just slow, progressive damage, or some nice picks from the Widowmakers. So a more defensive composition, or just straight up dive. I mean, you can just look to take out those healers, which they did also well by just, again, the discoordination coming out from Silver Husky and Cosmos alike. Being with the just anticipating the Farah Mercy combo, you've got to say to yourself, where is Silver Husky actually going to go here? Is he going to go the Zen, or is he going to go the Ana? Both being very, very immobile supports. They're only going to look down to take someone like a Lucio if he wants to actually just push the rest of his team through, because they will be pushing through as a 4 rather than the 6.
Well, TSG, so far, sticking more towards that Farah. I'm not 100% sold on what it is they're going for right now. I don't know if I'm really a fan of this triple setup they've got with the tanks, because you're not really building towards it with something like a Moria, which is what you'll quite commonly see. The Ana, you could argue, would at least help with that, but you're going to see the Farah and the Mercy off on their own doing it.
They are obviously on defense.
Of course, sorry.
On the blue side, yeah. Just to make you...
5 hours sleep, mate.
5 hours sleep, by the way.
Right then, it's dive time. They're bringing out the Mercy, which is a bit of a surprise rather than going towards something like the Lucio, but there we go.
Full dive. It's one of the strongest compositions they were talking about. Underwatch. The meme is Drake has died again, but being on the Mercy is not going to be too tough. They're going to have to deal with the mid-air combat of TSG there. A Discord Orb should send him packing for the time. Although Husky being in a very awkward position here, he's going to be in that small house. If he gets in there with a Hog or Winston, whatever, he's going to go down pretty quickly. But G-Moon's mech being the first kill, it's like he's trying to get some long-range poke on the Zenyatta. But being able to duck inside these buildings is going to be fairly common for them. IC9 doing a good job of defending so far, but that big purple onto Z7K might just be the end for them.
Possibly so. Looks like they are slowly getting cleaned up, but TSG is still here and still doing his work. It just so happens that Z7K and Paddy are doing the work a bit quicker than him.
Yeah, so now he's got G-Moon just on the ground, not doing all too much. Rock's Price is going to be able to finish off that mech, but a pop. Wait, what just happened? I think he killed himself with a bubble. Ronin actually, I think, jumped up. No, Derv actually jumped up, put the bubble down, and actually killed him with it. Osmos is going to fall as well to that Primal Rage. Once it has already been killed here, IC9 needs to be able to touch this. They've got one member left, but JK Low is going to come in with a Dragon Blade.
Still a pretty comfortable hold for them. So it started out okay for TSG. It's just oh no. They're still trying to force it, and they're managing to stall it out for a little bit longer, but it feels like we were really doing at this point. It's giving them all charge.
And it was the Winston, in fact. Yes, Silver Husky committing quite a lot here. He's going to pay for it with his life. Derp going down to that self-destruct, but JK Low still with that Dragon Blade. Doesn't even need it as he picks Cosmos and loot out the air. There is a pulse bomb now available for Z7K. They're just going to be able to stall this out. Like you mentioned, this is all ult charge right now for them. And look at the ultimate economy coming through from IC9. It is in shambles compared to Underwatch.
I think they were fully aware that on the Underwatch side, they were fully aware they would win this point out if they could survive that wall of attrition and the constant ults being thrown at them. At least on the other side, though, if they wanted to switch things over, they could have. The only things they're really going to make, though, is a big couple of kills coming through from Z7K. Both supports, again, is getting picked off, and this has been happening all series long, but they are essentially all on their own.
Look how defensive now that IC9 actually have to play TSG. Once again, dropping over to that McCree. With that one ultimate usage, that's actually going to net them quite a lot of space here. It doesn't like C9 are going to go for a rather quick regroup. The best thing about two people being kicked off that quick, nice headshot. Discorded, headshot, easy. And Dragon Blade, hang on a second. JK Low coming in, let's find Cosmos, and that'll be another kill on Silver Husky. Prioritizing those healers once again. There's no protection for them. No roll away from that McCree as he was actually jumped on by the Blade as well. JK Low finding himself a 3-piece. Does get cleaned up by Ronin, but the problem is they're still only blowing one ultimate at a time, and every time IC9, one of their Q keys comes up and starts glowing, they instantly click it, just meaning that ultimate economy once more is just completely bankrupt compared to Overwatch.
It's like when you're a student and you're buried about like a grand in your overdraft, and you still keep thinking, keep spending, guys. Keep spending. One ult comes online. Throw it quickly, quickly, get rid of it, get rid of it.
Go.
That feels like IC9 are kind of panicking a bit at the minute. They are sending it towards Valkyrie, which is
Silver
far
Husky
away.
disconnection from his front line once again, being picked out of thin air. Tariq is going to fall though, and Paddy is actually going to make a return to the base as well. Now, Deadeye gets opened up. They only want one. JK Low is going to be their key target here. 70% of that Dragon Blade. TSG doing a good job actually surviving against the Winston. Not something you usually see against the McCree, but a nice roll away and a flashbang to secure himself his life. Tessing's still on the card. TSG does end up getting stuck. So 7K once again just controlling the pace of this game.
Heroes never die.
What can I say?
Click on his head.
Clicks on his head. And get rid of Mercy. Click on that damn head. You can press C and resist someone pretty much straight away. It's not
This
the
is
easiest
not
thing in the
our
world.
time.
Press an E. Here's quite a challenge for some people.
Tariq. He's dead again. How would you feel if you were on a team and the meme about you was, oh, he's dead, by the way? By the way, dead.
Well, for me, it's there's one in by himself again.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's PUBG or Overwatch.
There's on zone again.
Yeah, well done.
Well, we lose the fight because Des wants to fight at 1v5. Luke's actually got a self-destruct. He used to be able to just place it to actually disrupt the front right here. JK Low, they can't give him much space. Got that Dragon Blade, does dash forward. TSG's going to be the first target. Doesn't manage to take that. Now Cosmos is going to be the second. Doesn't quite get a reset of dash there. Did try and use it to actually get away from the tank. So only one kill necessary. The Cosmos in the wrong place at the wrong time. Transcendence comes out from Silver Husky just a fraction too late. Now they're going to have to rely on TSG coming back to actually sort out that Genji. Problem is, with Ronin actually on the point here, and with Paddy going down, they might not even need that McCree. He's just chasing up the supports. Tariq might just go down once again. Dead again.
There we go. Now he's properly gone. Nice pick away from Z7K. There now has to be that 1v1, and I know probably who a favourite in this case is the Pocket, but the Deadeye is more than enough to bring him down.
More than enough. That adds a little bit too
A little
much
bit
damage.
overkill, I think, in some cases.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
a
he was
little
trying to
bit.
clear everybody off the point, and more often than not, it's good to try and stop the cart moving and just make sure your guys can actually get a priority position in terms of tanks in the front line, or in the enemy back line, that is. But with only 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining, we've still got to look at the ultimate economy, and JK Low's got that blade again. It's just whether they use it in combination with Tariq's ult there to give him the damage.
Looking onto the side as well. Valkyrie's not too far off that, but actually the Valkyrie's come out really quick. I'm surprised they brought this out so early, but it's a JK Low
Blade
going.
jumping on to Silver Husky once again. He ends up paying the price. TSG didn't stand a chance. A quick 2 slash and a quick 3-piece from JK Low. Cosmos trying to just zip around and trying to res TSG, but all meanwhile, that heal wasn't coming out from him, just meaning the rest of his team end up falling. You do bring a member back to life, but the problem is the rest of your team isn't receiving any extra HP per second, and now they're going to push it with 30 seconds remaining. Going to get it and a couple extra minutes on the time bank, but the problem is right now, you've got to look at the ultimates once more. Every single time you look at those bars, IC9 with 0 in the game.
It's kind of bizarre because for Underwatch they clean that fight out so efficiently. You only burnt 2 ultimates. On the other side, we saw 2 come out of there as well. Yet the result was so heavily favoured inside of Underwatch that IC9 is starting to get rolled over at this point. They want to be careful they don't get snowballed all the way to the 3rd point, because here come a very aggressive Underwatch side with 1 minute and 40 to play with.
TSG's had enough. He's on the oh, he's just going to jump down to the floor though, as the and the Winter try to just secure the kill. In fact, that will be Cosmos going down to Deft as well. Deft doing a very good job actually just being in the face of the supports, and again, it seems like a disconnection between the supports and the front line coming through for IC9. Z7K once again just cleaning up the rest of the fight. Has got that pulse bomb. The cart is still moving. They got 1 minute and 15 seconds once more. It's whether TSG can actually build enough up for a riptide here to change the tide of battle.
The final push, only 3 meters to go, not too much longer to go. This up comes up, like you said, they bring him out the primal rage as well. IC9 just trying to stall at this point.
Yep, JK Low does have the blade too. The Transcendence has been popped from Paddy to keep everybody alive, but they have to force Silver Husky's Transcendence. They know exactly what to do. It jumps straight onto Cosmos, and that is Silver Husky going extremely low as well. Transcendence finally pops, couldn't quite save his other support, but he's going to save the rest of his team. Still have priority positions here in terms of spawn runes. Cosmos is going to come up with 90% on his ult, so he might just be able to make something work, but the kill feed's going all but red. TSG finds the execution kill, the tides moves 2 meters remaining. A nice kill into JK Low might just seal the deal here. However, 1 meter and 16 centimeters remaining does mean TSG has to be able to pull out something big here.
This is very much the same as Junkertown though, where it came down to the final few meters. That was what counted last time around, and 20 seconds to go. They're starting to clean things back, Jaws. IC9 maybe doing Junkertown all over again.
You don't see no, you are not the cart right now, although Roman does go dip back and make sure that Winston wasn't doing anything sneaky. Primal Rage still available, so they've still got a lot of time left on that cart. Now, 5 seconds remain, and it is TSG eliminating and just destroying Z7K. Now jumping over to the Lucio, wasn't quite enough. Even the Doomfist going out from JK Low to get a bit of distance. Round 1's been completed. 2 points on the board for Underwatch. Quite fine in the 3rd.
IC9 will be eyeing up that 3rd point there. Of course, it's the ideal target. They complete the map, they win. We go through all the way to the 5th and final map of Dorado. But between them and that map, that is, stands a full round of Icon Mold at the very least. Now, it was pretty much, I'd say, almost exclusively in favour of Underwatch for the most of that map. And once it came to the 3rd point, well, IC9 just kind of found that final answer in the form of TSG switching over to the Junkrat, and we hadn't seen him on that yet today. Gotta say, did the job, was quite proficient for them, but now I fully expect to see him switch back on something a lot more like the Pharah. We've already seen what this guy can do. You mentioned earlier on it was the first hero he mentioned when we asked what he played, and you can see why. Definitely have a big standout performances so far. Don't expect you'll see a Widowmaker here on Icon.
And IC9 have got a lot to prove too. They quote, this is a quote, right, straight from the mouth of Lude. They like to bully UCL. They like to prove that they are actually the best Overwatch team in London. They want to prove it on here as well. They did actually beat UCL on stage 2. So that is going to be quite a big medal to hold, but it's whether they can actually finish this game, like you just said, because that will lead us to the 5th map, and that will be Dorado, and kind of a 50-50. However, looking at the performances just on places like Junkertown, you've got to say it might just be in IC9's favour here coming into Dorado if they can manage to finish this hybrid on Icon Mold. Now, you said and mentioned that TSG probably should go on the Pharah, and I think you're correct in saying that, because again, the aerial superiority they have is just second to none coming up against Underwatch, who don't really seem to want to swap off anything dive here. They are running the quad tank, and they have been doing that before, and even the triple tank with JK Lol on the Reinhardt and Z7K on the Tracer makes a lot of sense to go for that too, but this time around, full dive again. It's all about that disconnection from the supports. It's really been winning out those times.
Small margins. Term that we use an awful lot in contenders. It is a game with small margins at best of times, however, leaving your supports isolated, a pretty big error, I'd say. Pretty big margin in that case. But let's see how IC9 can go on their attack again. If they manage to complete here and better Underwatch, we go to 5th map. Otherwise, Underwatch walk away with this year's title.
Away this year's champions.
And let's not forget as well, the first ever dual live for Overwatch.
Happy to cut. Is there some getting a lot of trouble? Just have to use that refill fairly early on. and that will be once again Lol going extremely low. He should be the main target. TSG also falling, however, he's got that Mercy to back him up. Remember, Silver Husky is going to be able to move everybody forward rather rapidly. There's going to be the detriment to Paddy. Rona's going to find himself a two-piece, and in fact, even Paddy going down there, so it leaves Sharik just healing on his own. He is very vulnerable as soon as he uses those wings, and now TSG really starting to come into his own. 65%, no answer for the Genji. I say that as JK Low finds himself in the air, and I don't know what just happened there. It's JK Low, I looked at his blade and was like, cool, he's got it. And then Z7K just comes up big as well. That was a very, very small ultimate economy usage too, with the blade only used.
Not quite a 7k, but a full 6k for the team. That was essentially a full team wipe there.
3v6.
And just before that, it was all going over to the side of IC9. And all it takes is one blade, apparently.
Ronin's already gone down here as well, actually. Paddy actually did get the Discord orb. TSG does punish Paddy, though, for being slightly out of position, although Zeniana versus Far not in matchup either. But see Paddy gets res, so both race down. It's all up to Nico now to try and find a sticky. However, he knows exactly where he's going to stick it. Straight on top of G-Moon's mech. That's a big source of HP now down. And pressure in the skies, so TSG is going to have a little bit of an easier time. Self-destruct on the point, and with Z7K going down, their main DPS threat. TSG easy clapping these fools right now. It does get taken out in the air eventually. Again, we are looking at another play from JK Lowell, building this up so fast, they've got to just be able to take him out the skies.
There's one thing that's given me a few question marks so far is always when TSG is using these ultimates. Otherwise, it's been almost flawless so far on the Far, but once again, the blade's available. They've got it here if they need to pull it out.
TSG ends up falling. Now that's big damage movement obviously for the side of IC9. Still fighting on this point, no tick acquired. 1 minute and 40 seconds left. This brawlery style of play coming out from Underwatch, working for them more often than not. JK Low is going to be able to get that blade, and if he needs to, he can pop it and use it to get over the wall with the double dash. But right now, you're looking at only the sound barrier available. They really just have to use that on JK Low's blade here. Otherwise, it is going to be another clean wipe.
1 minute 20 seconds is all that stands between Underwatch and this year's NUEL Live Overwatch title. That's just how close they are, and they've got the ultimates to do it. On the other side, TSG has switched away to the Farah. He's gone to number 3. This has always been his answer to the dive comp coming against him.
Oh, they beat it in. 5 members have been here. They get a nice pool of HP to work with, but now it's all on JK Low. He's doing a fantastic job of forcing everybody back. TSG is going to fall. Silver Husky goes down to Durft as well. JK Low didn't even need any kills because his tank and front line of Z7K and Durf just cleaning up the rest of the fight. 50 seconds remain, and they've only got a couple of more pushes here. However, Pulse Bomb is available. Now we've got the Primal Rage. We used that sound barrier fairly early, but it's up to Cosmos. Try and get another support ultimate online, because that Coalescence is going to be able to take out that Genji fairly quickly if he's not careful.
This could be a very quick and final fight because It's Paddy D has got hold of the Transcendence as well. Those few seconds is all they need. This is the final push here, potentially Jaws coming through for IC9.
TSG on the 3 needs to push forward, but he needs the protection as well. This dive bomb not working too well. That post bomb didn't even stick Husky. The Koreans talk about it all the time. Sometimes it's actually better to actually stick it to the floor rather than anybody else. Cosmos is going to fall as well. JK gets brought back to life, and Z7K with the 2-piece. Make that a 3 as he takes out Rohin as well. TSG moving forward. Couldn't quite get the dead eye off. This will be IC9 falling. Underwatch just dragging this one out. JK Low wasn't even needed at the end of the fight. It was all red. Z7K just making the game look so easy. Underwatch take the series 3-1 and are crowned your NUEL Live champions.
Big plays coming out of them overall, and you've got to give it to IC9. They fought well, but Underwatch remind us why they are considered one, if not the top teams in the NUEL. And JK Low, by far and away, his best performance, I think, of the whole series. Both DPS coming up absolutely huge.
He's a tank player in comp, but he looks like a DPS player right now. This guy, absolute monster. Positional awareness as well of the far right up in the air, and dash resets as well. Just knowing perfectly how to play around those was just such a pleasure to watch. You saw there on the little title screen, or on the card screen I should say, 14 kills with the Dragon Blades in 6 blades used as well. So that's a minimum of 2 per blade.
Insanity. Like, every single blade that he brought out, generally making a big impact with it. And 14 kills that you can see exactly why, right? Some are bigger than others. Some blades, a bit longer, a bit sharper, you might say. Especially the one that you saw in the play of the game. Again, you've got to give commiserations across to IC9 there as well. They played this series incredibly well, and they did show that sometimes these dark horse teams can look like they're going to cause upsets. Taking one map away, never quite the easiest thing, and every map came pretty close except for Iconvolve.
They had a fantastic run. They only lost 2 series actually in the run-up to these games. So you've got to kind of put into question these new dogs, like you were saying, you can't underestimate them whatsoever. And I did speak to Underwatch, and he said, you know, how do you feel about IC9? Like, how do you feel about going up against them? He said, yeah, they do look very scary. However, they've had this kind of miracle run, so we're not kind of scared of them, but anything can happen. That game on Junkertown just looked completely in favor of IC9, especially coming onto the second and third point. It really showed flourishes for their team. It is really just down to them practicing a little bit more. Team hadn't been long together either. Only 6 months. It's all up from here.
It absolutely is. Well, to close this game out before we head into CSGO a bit later on, it's time to go over to NUEL. Josh, ready to read the trophy presentation to give it over to your victors, Underwatch.
Take it away, away. You can stay. I'll show you my way.
Those of you at home know as well, it doesn't really apply to those of you in the venue. We've got to cut the stream and restart, so we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. So sit tight, we'll see you when we get back.